So I wanted to start this podcast off a little different and pose a few questions um, to the audience. And the first question is, what demons are you fighting? What does your silent battle look like behind closed doors? What is the one thing right now that you can do that if you're feeling stuck can get you unstuck? And last but not least, what opportunities are you passing up that might be right in front of you that you just haven't identified yet? Let's talk about it. So the first question was, what demons are you fighting? And I don't think we take into consideration what this means. And a demon is a metaphor for something that could be blocking you from becoming and being your best self. I think that one of the things that has been a big demon in all of our lives is social media. If we're not using it to our benefit, I think it becomes a hindrance to a lot of us at times. It becomes a hindrance because I know for me, sometimes I could sit there and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll for hours, and then you look up and you haven't gotten anything done. You've entertained yourself, but the entertainment, the social media, all that becomes a distraction, which is a demon to your time because it robs you of your productivity and it robs you of all of the things that you could be doing, but you're not. So for us to combat that and beat those demons out of our lives, we're going to have to place some limitations on some of the things that we do in terms of social media, which leads to procrastination, which leads to a lack of productivity. So we just have to identify what those look like in our own personal lives. Like I said, I run my own business, so I'm on social media a lot by default, whether that's advertising, whether that's just searching different things, looking at other businesses and seeing how they advertise and things of that nature, which sometimes just leads to more consumption of entertainment and things that may just feel appeasing to the mind and not necessarily in a productive way from a business standpoint, but more so from a entertainment standpoint. So once we learn to identify those things, then we can kind of minimize them and do away with most of those things that'll take away from our production. Whether we at work, working for yourself, it doesn't matter. That can be a big block on everything we're doing or we're supposed to be doing. And so once we identify those things, then we can go and move past. So here's a gem to kind of take away from the procrastination and the demons that you may be fighting. One thing I suggest you do is make a must-do list, right? So on that must-do list, I want you to only list 3 things. It consists of 3 things, right? Number 1, time limit. You don't have all day to work on one thing. You want to be productive and you want to schedule accordingly. However, you want to divvy that time up, stick to that time so we start to build good habits, right? No more than 3 things on that list so you can start to build the habit of completion, which kicks out procrastination, right? So you want to list these things most important to least important. They're all important, but some things should be done before other things, right? So, again, must do list, time limit, no more than 3 major things on that list, and list those things from most important to the least important. Now, like I said, they are all important, but you want to make sure you're giving yourself a chance to be the most productive with the most important things. That's why you do them first, so you don't get to where you're forgetting things or whatever the case is. You want to make sure that what you're doing first has the highest priority versus everything else. And so, why we only do 3 is because we start to break the habit of procrastination and we start to build that habit of completion. And so, why we want to do that is that because once we start to do those habits, it's like, okay, well, I've done those 3 things. Let me see if I can fit something else in there. It's not a requirement to do something else, but you start building that habit. Once you complete something, you're like, okay, man, that feels good to complete that. So now let me go and add another thing. Maybe I can make another call. Maybe I can reach out to another person or complete another task. Doesn't have to be a big task, but you start to build that habit of completion, which kicks out procrastination and all of the other things that can be a robber of your time. So those 3 things are what you need to focus on. So for context, I wanted to look up the definition of feeling stuck. And the Google definition says, feeling stuck is having an aching sense that you need to do something. Anything to prepare you out of your current state, but you can't. It's like you're frozen. Nothing feels available or good enough. So that's a very bad place to be in. Sometimes you hear people say, I feel stuck. And for them, it may mean a couple of things. When I hear people talk about being stuck or feeling stuck, I just see almost exactly what the definition says. Just someone that's like, I know I need to be somewhere, but it's not here. And so, but I think a lot of the problem is we don't know where we need to be. And when you feel stuck, it's like you don't want to be where you at, but you don't know where you need to be. And so, how do we define where we need to be? That's the question of how to get unstuck. It's hard to define how we get unstuck without some sort of action. But that action is going to require you to do something outside of what you normally do. And so what you're normally doing is in one space or one state or wherever you're at. You may have to go somewhere and do something else just to get a fresh, not necessarily a fresh start, but bring in some new energy, some new ideas, kind of just sometimes just going out of state or just connecting with somebody from outside of your normal parameters can light that fire again back in you. And so to get unstuck, you're going to have to do something outside of your body and do something outside of what your body of work normally looks like in whatever area you're in. So if we continue to feel stuck, we know that, okay, I'm not in the right mind space. I need to move around. I need to do something to get this stuck feeling off of me. Because usually it's from feeling stuck comes from not being productive in wherever state you're at. And when I say state, I'm not talking about like Louisiana, Texas. I'm talking about a state of mind and state of being. And so being stuck can be a very hard thing to get out of, because some people have that feeling for a lot longer than they think they have had it for, because sometimes being stuck is something that's out of your control. You might be stuck in a job or stuck in a relationship, and you're stuck in that job and that relationship because it feels comfortable to you, but you're really uncomfortable. But the comforting piece of, well, I'm paying all my bills. I don't really have any real problems. But I just feel like I want to be somewhere else, and that's the feeling that the only thing that can get you unstuck is action. And so once you start to place action behind, the thing that you want, I think, like I said, just going and doing something somewhere else, or combining your services with somebody else's services, or seeking another way of doing something, and might just revitalize whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, and just partner with somebody else to just help get you out of that state of being may be the answer for you. So this last part brings us to opportunity. And the thing about opportunity is opportunity can be very tricky. But let me give you the definition first. Opportunity is defined as a set of circumstances that make it possible to do something. Another definition is opportunity is a situation in which it is possible for you to do something that you want to do. And I think it would be a fair assumption to say, well, what do you want to do? And I think for some of us, sometimes we just don't know what that is. We want certain things in our life, but I think it's not necessarily that the opportunity of what it is. I think we don't know what it takes to attain that opportunity. And I think that's where we kind of get lost. But the opportunities that we have all around us is what we should be capitalizing on. I think it's opportunity in everything you do. It just depends on what you do. So if you have an opportunity to, a lot of times the opportunity that we have in front of us is to tell people what we do. And so we may be good at something, but we don't use the opportunity we have to market ourselves or tell people, hey, this is what I do. And so until we put ourselves out there and say, hey, well, I'm good at such and such, I can do this, most of the time people are waiting to support us, but we haven't supported ourselves because we don't tell people what we do. And so until we begin to tell people, hey, I'm good at this, I've done this, or I've done that, people won't know. And so that's the opportunity we're losing by just not sharing what our gifts are, what we're passionate about, what comes natural to us on a daily basis. It's a lot of things that we may do behind closed doors for ourselves that somebody else may be looking, and don't understand that and willing to pay you top dollar, and you're an expert at it and you won't even tell people you know how to do it. So I think a lot of the time the opportunities that we're passing up is the ones that we're not sharing, that, the skills we're not sharing, the things that we do. Because I think everyone has a set of skills that they can get paid for. But we miss those opportunities because we think it's small. And we don't think anybody will pay us for them. And so that's the missed opportunity right there that you may have not thought about. You may have not identified. But you just need to start sharing what your gifts are with people. The Bible says your gift will make room for you. I said the Bible says your gift will make room for you. But if we don't know what your gifts are, how can we make room for you? Because we don't know. So when it comes down to opportunity, your opportunity is in your own hands. We like to place the blame and say, hey, well, I wasn't afforded the opportunity. Go get your own opportunity. Go create your own opportunity. You have that in your power. Social media is free. Most of the time, all you have to do is say, hey, I do this. And somebody's going to come and offer you some form of monetary gain to come and do that for them. and then next thing you know, you got a book, you got a whole business, just because you decided to post about what it is you're good at doing. But on top of that, make sure you're good at doing whatever you're doing, because you don't want to go out there and embarrass yourself. But that's a topic for another day. I appreciate y'all for tuning in.